bucolic surroundings of this stadium. We're at the face-off dot, and we're underway. Andrew McMeekin winning the initial face-off for this Princeton team, taking on Nick Waymeyer. Number one face-off man for Yale, Mac Rodriguez, has missed the last couple of games with injury. We'll see if he is going to be able to come in today and help Yale try to clinch a number 2 seed. They're going to have to win this one and win this one big. 5+ goals, they grab the number 2. And Princeton clinches the number 2 in the Ivy tournament with a win or a 1-goal loss. And to your point, Jules, just want to try to stay away from Cornell and C.J. Kirst in that semifinal Ivy League matchup.
Yeah, if you can work to have them in the championship, that makes your life that much easier. Not that it's an easy first-round game, but it's tough in terms of seeding, just going into a game knowing that that's going to be the number 1 team you have to play in the first round.
Yeah, Cornell undefeated in Ivy League play, and they seem to be clicking on all cylinders right now. First midfield unit for Princeton in the game. Good move to Cage by Peter Bonanno. Gets it up top to Chad Palumbo. This is Tucker Wade, number 19 in white. Good defense being played by the Yale Bulldogs. That's number 34, Konrad Miklaszewski. And this is a Yale defense, Jules, that has just been decimated by injuries this season.
Yeah, it's been really difficult for the defense. There's a lot of guys that are out for them. You know, what's happening with Mike Alexander, Sam Rieken, Jake Cohen out is it's leaving them vulnerable defensively off ball. There's a lot of open lanes, and Princeton's going to have to do a good job today of taking advantage of those defensive inefficiencies.
In goal, Jared Paquette for the Yale Bulldogs. We saw he just made his first save on a beautiful behind the back as the shot clock was running out by Colin Burns of the Princeton Tigers. Yeah, you talk about guys being pressed into unfamiliar territory. Jack Stuzen, number 10 in blue, and Konrad Miklaszewski, number 34 in blue. They're both long stick midfielders, now forced to play down at close for defensive coordinator Ed Williams of the Yale Bulldogs. Wade stepping to the cage, shoots and scores. Paquette got a piece of it, but Tucker Wade, stick side high, just had enough juice to get the first goal of the afternoon for Princeton.
Tucker Wade, the sophomore. Dixon, I'm very high on him. This is a strong move, getting down, not concerned about that check at all whatsoever, finishing with his left hand down the alley. That's a difficult shot. The sophomore's really coming into his own this season.
Took the feed from Colin Burns and sticks his 17th goal of the year. Wade has scored now his 9th goal in Ivy League play. So he has been on fire during this gauntlet of Ivy League competition. There's another face-off win for the Princeton Tigers. And this is a unit that rolls deep. Cooper Miller picks up that ground ball, but they'll go as far as 6 short-stick defensive midfielders. Great depth there. And unlike Yale, they haven't really been bitten by the injury bug in this season.
No, in Princeton, they have a lot of depth at their midfield unit. When you have a lot of depth and they play in the pick play the way that they do, and you have a defense like Yale that's trying to figure it all out, that's just a lot for this Yale defense to have to deal with today.
McAsee with the shot, just goes wide. Yale has yet to possess the ball. This is Princeton's second possession, and their second midfield unit has checked into the game. Braden Saris, Sean Cameron. This is McAsee. He's got the defense hung up, being watched closely. Shot goes out of bounds. Max Krevsky, number 48 in blue. He is the sole captain of this Yale Bulldog team, and he'll play 2 ways. He'll play some short stick D-midi and stay on for an offensive shift. The injuries again forcing guys into more expanded roles. Cameron shot. Looked like Paquette got a piece of it. He's fired up, barking at his defense. That'll be a shot clock reset as Yale looking to fend off and make a defensive stand against Princeton. So far, Princeton with 7 shots. Yale yet to possess the ball. Shot goes wide. John Dunphy running on this second midfield line. What do you like so far about Princeton and how they're clicking, moving the ball offensively?
I just think there's a sense of confidence with this offense right now. They're not concerned whatsoever. They're earning all the opportunities that they want. Defensively, Yale is really going to have to
make them work. And that is Sean Cameron with a laser. The senior out of Bedford, New Hampshire, takes the feed from Colin Burns, number 0 in white, and Princeton is off to a terrific start.
Mackesy initiating here in that pick play again, which they do such a good job of, and then Burns getting up the hash, finding Cameron. That's just such good ball movement out of the Princeton offense here, and then Cameron just loading that shot up, that little sidewinder, low to high, getting to that top right corner. Again, Dixon, they just are playing with a lot of confidence. Yale's going to have to get a little bit more mean defensively, especially in that pick play.
And when you say mean, like what do you mean by that?
When I talk about being mean, it's just throw a slash on someone, get outside the play, cross-check someone, make them feel your presence defensively. Don't let them dictate what they want to do offensively.
And playing mean out there, Waymeyer wins his first face-off, but he is quickly depossessed. Number 4 in white, Jackson Green, sophomore short stick defensive midi for this Princeton Tiger unit. Also a member of the football team, has 4 goals on the season. And that's unfortunate because Waymeyer won that face-off, but then immediately crashed on by 3 white jerseys.
Yeah, it just shows that there's a sense of urgency out of Princeton. It's senior day. You don't want to lose on senior day, but just overall the sense of urgency out of them is really strong.
Shot and another goal for the Princeton Tigers. It's Peter Bonanno, the freshman out of Providence, Rhode Island, just gets topside, and another one that seemingly Paquette located, got a piece of it, but it just gets through.
It starts in the pick game again with Mackesy, and then Bonanno, a little bit of a step. Great job hesitating there, slowing down and speeding up, changing his speeds. Look, confidence out of him, the freshman. This is his 10th goal of the year, really coming on strong as of late to get up that hash and finish that low-angle shot around his defender.
Bonanno, 3 goals and an assist last weekend against Penn. And right now, Princeton out shooting Yale 10-0. It all starts at the face-off dot. Waymeyer goes flat on his belly, no push call. Ball squirts free, headed toward the sideline. Nice play by 43 in white. That is Colin Mulshine to keep it alive, and there's the pickup momentarily by Princeton. And there's the Tigers again. Just that wing play. Jack Stahl comes up with the GB, gets it back on offense for the Tigers.
Obviously, Dixon, there's a lot of game to be played here, but you just look at what's happened so far. This possession right now, Yale needs to make a play. Either the goaltender, right, someone needs to pick up a ground ball. Something has to happen, a little bit of juice, a little bit of energy for that Princeton to just become, they got to get settled in.
Another shot, whistles high, it's Mackesy. This offense right now, as you mentioned, confident, very fluid, quick ball movement, taking advantage of these possessions. Stews in 10 in blue, guarding Nate Kabiri, number 2 in white. Terrific attackman for Princeton. Another shot to goal, it's Burns. 2 assists, and now he gets into the goal column. This might be timeout time for Andy Shea of Yale, and that is exactly what the bench boss for the Eli does. Princeton out of the gates fast.
And they're just getting whatever they want right now, the Princeton offense. It doesn't matter who's shooting the ball. This time it's Colin Burns, and a very similar opportunity to Bonanno getting up the hash. You see him hesitate there again. They do such a good job of hesitating, finishing around goal and extended. That's a staple of Coach Jim Mitchell's offense, is finishing around the goal and changing speeds.
Burns had double donuts last weekend against Penn. He has been on fire so far here in the first quarter. A goal and 2 assists for Agent Zero in the white jersey. And Princeton has Cuthing. And Coulter Mackesy, he's a Tewaaraton Top 25 nominee for the 3rd straight season. 2nd all-time in goals scored at Princeton, and 3rd all-time in points. Pretty elite company when you consider the All-American and 3-time national champion Jesse Hubbard is the man he's chasing.
The great Jesse Hubbard, and Coulter Mackesy really solidifying his greatness in front of our eyes. I'm very, very high on him, Dixon. He plays the game the right way. He's evolved as a passer. He's not just a one-trick pony with his left hand. He gets everyone involved and gets everyone better.
And that's a big face-off win for the Yale Bulldogs. A shot saved by Craddock. And a good run out. Great hustle by 44 in blue. That's Chris Lyons. Mac Rodriguez. He's missed the last couple of games with a upper body injury. And he makes his presence felt, winning his first face-off of the game and getting Yale a much-needed possession.
With the first opportunity where we get to watch what this Yale offense is all about, it's important that they really maximize this possession. Don't take anything for granted. Wear down the Princeton defense and try to earn a great shot.
Carson Cool flips it to Leo Johnson. Johnson with the shot, whistles wide, backed up by Yale. 9:46 was the time of the first Yale shot of this game. And Princeton was 3 out of 4 on faceoffs. And the one faceoff win that the Bulldogs did have, they turned it over. But Mac Rodriguez changes their fortune. Shot to score, beautiful rip. David Anderson, the junior out of Cambridge, Ontario, catches it, fires it. Yale is on the board.
This is a big-time play out of Anderson, but it starts with Lyons getting up the hash again. That pick play, we're seeing it all over the field, both for Princeton, now we're seeing it for Yale. That little hitch right there for Anderson to increase his shooting angle and just violent on that overhand jump shot, really sticking it to the corner. You can tell Yale offensively, they want to be in this game, they want to win.
The Yale Bulldogs can score goals. Anderson had 7 points on 5 goals and 2 assists in a win over Brown earlier this season. The assist, courtesy of 44 in blue, Chris Lyons. Rodriguez win another faceoff, and he isn't able to corral it. Nice work. Flips it over to his long pole. That's number 5, Luke Mahalik. Leo Johnson now stepping in as it's starting to rain here. Sherrard Field, class of 1952 stadium. Early rain, how does it affect these guys after it was, damp? It's very humid today, but now with this precipitation.
I played on this field, Dixon, for a number of years, playing the Princeton Tigers out of Rutgers University. So I know firsthand, this field does get very slick. What's important for you as a player, your pocket. You don't want to be throwing balls too far, and you need to make sure that when you change direction, you're really gearing down. You're not running 100 miles an hour when you change direction, because you will slip.
Craddock with his first save. That was a nice shot by Krevsky. And Craddock fights it away. Good defensive pressure by Yale. Mackesy can't get out of it, but Johnny on the spot is Chad Palumbo, and he gets pasted. Beautiful hit, courtesy of Christian Johnson, laying the boom, and that fires up the Yale bench.
Christian Johnson, that's the big-time play I was mentioning earlier, Dixon, that they kind of needed. You're looking around the field, who's going to do that? Well, it's Johnson with the big-time physical impact.
And you see number 13 in blue, Brad Sharp, taking a love tap. Kuehl gets it down to Johnny Kibe. He had 2 goals against Albany, a tough loss, and there he turns it over. Here comes Princeton. Legging it out. Backside, Mackesy lets it go. Paquette was on it. And look at the guys hustling. Stuzen and Burns. This game means so much to both teams, both programs. Princeton trying to lock up that number 2 seed. And Yale, if they can come back in this game and win by 5 or more goals, they could take the 2. Tucker Wade working on a short stick. Michael Garciarina. Wade, hands free. Paquette fights it off. That was a nasty shot. Great save by Paquette. Here come the Yale Bulldogs in transition. Patrick Pisano, best cover guy. Slow break, trailer. Looks like either off the foot or the pipe. Craddock, though, was on it. Business has picked up. Leo Johnson can't keep the ball in his stick. Nice check on the back of 15 in white. The defender did well to stay with it. Hunter Spees in Princeton collects another turnover.
Fantastic save out of Craddock, number 26 in white, but you have to appreciate the energy and the fight that the Yale Bulldogs are playing with right now. Out of that huddle, Andy Shea must have been in there telling them that, hey, the game has started. We have to lock in. We have to start being more physical, and you're seeing it all over the field now.
Tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Bryce Harper and the Phillies take on Kyle Tucker and the Cubs at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Sunday Night Baseball, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern. Baseball tonight, Sunday Night Countdown. Flag is down on the field. This is Kabiri working behind. So this is a free possession for this Princeton offense. Cameron, he's got a goal so far here today. Ball inside, shot, knocked down. Tristan Ghosh, 21 in blue, applying the pressure defensively. Dunphy with that shot for Princeton. Kabiri gets the goal line extended, wheels back, sneaking around the crease, shot, Paquette save, rebound, Paquette, like a cat, jumps on the ball, takes away the angle, keeps the ball out of the back of the cage, but we're gonna have our first man-up situation. Power play here. Princeton will get that opportunity.
Jack Stuzen, number 10, just knocking the stick out of Kabiri's hands there. And then Paquette's locking in. He's dialed now. He missed a couple early on, but his last couple saves, he's really locked in.
Interference call against Stuzen, 30-second man-up opportunity for the Princeton Tigers. Flip play at the top, fake, Mackesy, Burns, tries to go top shelf, denied by Paquette. He's starting to see the ball.
Absolutely starting to see the ball, and he's really playing with a lot of energy now, and that's exactly what the Yale Bulldogs needed.
Tristan Ghosh, you mentioned the field a couple minutes ago, Jules, just looked like his feet went out from under him, but did well. That was a gritty play by 21 in blue, Tristan Ghosh, to stay with it, corral the ground ball, get it up to the attack. That was a big boy play. Fresh middies in the game for Yale. Peter Moynihan with the ball, typically an attackman. And there we have a procedure call against Yale. They got to limit these turnovers if they want to trim this lead.
Yeah, Mark, see, that just can't happen if you're Yale. Unfortunately, we know that there's injuries on the defensive side. We're going to have to account for them. Princeton just scoring goals, but if you're Yale, you have to take advantage of every single offensive possession and try to maximize it to the best of your ability.
Fourth turnover for the Bulldogs. Yale took care of business, doing just enough in the Ivy League to secure what is now the number 4 seed in next weekend's Ivy League tournament. Great ball movement by Princeton. Wade pulls it out behind the cage, being guarded by Krevsky. Nice inside roll, inside shot, Paquette fights it off again. Feed, Palumbo, another save by Paquette. I love his explosiveness and showing some athleticism as well on that last sequence a couple plays ago, going pipe to pipe.
It just feels like he's a little bit of a piñata in there right now. Princeton is just getting shots from all over the field, and he's just moving pipe to pipe all over the place. I love that.
And he's needed it because this Princeton Tiger team with 20 shots so far here in the first quarter. There he picks it off. Loose comes out of the cage. Paquette gets harassed, drops the ball. Burns now. Paquette retreats to his cage. Tucker Wade, he has a goal, and this one on Stuzen, gets his hands free, shots, and shoots and scores. Tucker Wade, his second of the game, and that's unfortunate for Jared Paquette. Those extended possessions for Princeton come back to haunt Yale.
Another tremendous and confident take out of Wade. He does not care if he's being guarded by a long pole, watch right here, the little drop and acceleration. That's what gets him that initial first step. He's going right into the teeth of the defense, lowering his shoulder and hammering that ball home.
Tucker's father, Ryan, an All-American at North Carolina, a member of Team USA. His uncle, Zach Wade, also a North Carolina graduate. Unassisted goal for the son and nephew of the Tar Heel alums has Princeton back up by 4. Here comes Yale. It's Rodriguez right down the heart of the defense, and he sticks it. What an answer, and quickly for Yale.
Number 37 in blue, he's been battling injuries all season long. It's great to see this out of him. Getting right into the heart of the defense is Rodriguez. Notice there that Princeton's late to slide. You did not want to slide off number 44, Chris Lyons, and let him shoot the ball. They force Rodriguez to take it himself, and he makes him pay.
Rodriguez coming into this game, winning 53% of his faceoffs, had off-season surgery, and Andy Shea told us this week that the recovery took longer than expected, and then he got injured a few weeks ago, missed the last couple of contests, and Rodriguez scores that goal 5 seconds after Princeton's latest tally. We're at 5-2 now. Tigers up. Princeton back on offense. Braden Saris over to John Dunphy. Colin Burns aggressively dodging. Yale in a little bit of a zone here. Nice feed, cross crease. Kabiri looks like he just tapped it in, a little one-timer. Why not? It's NHL playoff season. 48 with the assist, John Dunphy, and I'm not sure Kabiri had that in his stick.
I gotta tell you, this is an elite play here. Dunphy, that little left-to-left stutter, gets topside, and then rolls back underneath when his defender hedges upfield, and he has the vision and the awareness to find Kabiri off ball, who just slips into that slot near the pipe and one-times it in and out of his stick. That's a big-time play out of Dunphy coming off the bench.
Princeton 2 goals in 50 seconds after they score by Wade. Then Rodriguez comes down and scores for Yale, and then the answer, Dunphy to Kabiri. Kabiri, a 2024 honorable mention All-Ivy selection. This attack is just so dangerous. We talked about the chemistry at the beginning of the show, but what have you seen in person with how they work together, those three?
The patience of this unit and the confidence of them, they have so many different weapons all over the field, and it just seems like everyone is in sync. They trust each other with the ball. They know it's going to get back to them on the backside, and then they got guys that can break you down one-on-one. That just makes it so difficult as a defense because you really don't know, is this guy going to take me to the rack? Do I have to worry about this guy off ball? It's very hard to cover, especially with the Yale defense that's been suffering a lot of injuries.
Carson Cool slings it, just misses the cage. And we've seen when Yale can settle it in and get touches and not turn it over, they can be effective. A lot of lacrosse left to be played here, but this is a big possession for the Bulldogs. Lyons being guarded by Mulshine.
Last minute of play in the period, 1 minute.
Gets it up to Anderson. He has a goal in this game. Has a short stick matchup on Jackson Green. 53 seconds left in the quarter. 33 seconds and approaching 30 on the shot clock. So Yale can't hold for the last shot theoretically unless they get an offering on cage and a shot clock reset. Lyons looking to use a little pick from Anderson, it seems. Anderson sets the pick. Lyons gets inside. Switch has earned the shorty matchup. Jackson Green behind the cage. Lyons gets a step. Chronic with the save. Shot clock reset. Leo Johnson picks it up. Feed inside and a hit on Carson Cool. Ball's loose. Who's going to come up with it? It's Yale. First time grounder. Beautiful pickup by this Princeton Tiger defense. Michael Bath gets it. 10 seconds. Mackesy quickly doubled. Krevsky applies the pressure and airmailed out of bounds by the Princeton attack. Yale will get the ball back with just under 4 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Dusen just going to chuck it down the field. That's a live ball. Picked up shot. Anderson just wide. Sweet, soft hands by number 15 in blue, David Anderson. Jack Dusen almost had an assist. We have got a good one again in Ithaca. And a year after, only one Ivy League team made it into the NCAA tournament in 2024. This is a conference looking at, I think, 2 for sure, potentially 3. What do you think?
Two's definitely a lock.
Yep.
As you mentioned, potentially 3, but specifically talking about Princeton, the fact that they've won back-to-back Ivy League titles, they're not getting these big-time transfers. They're not using the transfer portal. Princeton only has 8 semesters for guys to play there. Now, you couple that with the fact that they're graduating guys and moving guys on like Sam English, Michael Gianfacaro, Carson Billings, guys going to all different universities, captaining those schools and being leaders for those programs. That really speaks to just the Princeton coordinators, Jeremy Hirsch, Jim Mitchell, offensive, defensive coordinators respectively, who do such a fantastic job of developing their guys throughout the program and not just relying on the portal to get guys in to have them have success.
Matt Madelon has created an incredible program here. And when you consider, you mentioned Billings at Michigan, you've got Jernicus at Rutgers, Mike G at North Carolina, captains of all their teams. They were housemates with each other here in Princeton, New Jersey. I don't know what they were serving in that house. But you talk about leadership, terrific players, and we joked with Coach Madelon this week. We're like, hey, we're not trying to be wise guys, but like, what if you had all these guys in addition to what you have currently? Is Chad Palumbo swimming? It's humid, like I mentioned, and the water's just fine. Chad Palumbo swims his way to the Yale cage, stings the upper 90, and the Princeton Tigers continue to roll.
Oh my, Mark. Palumbo here, he's getting busy. Underneath that little swim move, his awareness right there to feel that pressure coming to him and to quickly swim and then be able to drop his hands and put that ball high. That is a big-time shot out of Chad Palumbo. Palumbo just showing his deception, his awareness, and his overall skill set.
Palumbo, 26 goals as a freshman, or excuse me, as a sophomore. That's the most since a player by the name of Tom Schreiber, for a sophomore, who had 26 goals. Chad Palumbo did in 2024. That's his 16th tally of the season. Yeah, but getting back to the conversation that you started with respect to Princeton not getting in transfers, grad transfers, etc. Coach Madelon told us this week that it's allowed players like Tucker Wade to develop and shine. If some of those players were still here on campus and playing for Princeton, a guy like Tucker Wade probably wouldn't see the field.
And I have a ton of respect for this coaching staff, and personally, I would love to see other programs really lean into that. The transfer portal has been great. The COVID stuff allowed for a lot of guys to mix and match, but at the end of the day, and I learned this from Coach Jim Mitchell myself, playing for him at Rutgers University, you have the opportunity to develop over your 4 years as a player, maximize that, and if you have coaches who are really leaning into that, that's when you end up with a team like Princeton University.
Yale with their 7th turnover, Jules. Ball's back to Princeton. We're seeing this year who, during the COVID years and the 5th, 6-year eligibility stuff, who coached their guys, who developed them. Princeton is amongst that crop, and it pays on the field. Bonanno gets inside and finishes. Right now, it is just too easy for this Princeton Tiger offense. Bonanno with his 2nd of the game.
Bonanno, this kid's special. He's going to be a big-time player for Princeton for years to come. Right now, he's making the most of his opportunities, feasting on short sticks. He's kind of like Gumby, the way that he moves and kind of slipping past his guy and just protecting his stick. He's so good, so crafty with his left hand and those low corners. Watch out for him, not just today, the rest of the season, but for the rest of his career at Princeton.
Terrific individual effort, unassisted goal. Has a brother, Nick, played lacrosse at Colorado College out west. If you're Yale, what has to happen here to begin the comeback? They flirted with it in that first quarter in a couple of instances, but what do they need to do before this thing gets too far out of reach?
We saw it early. They called the timeout, Coach Shea did, for Yale. They responded with energy, intensity, And then they kind of got away from it. And then you see them on offensively, they're making errors, unforced errors, stick work errors. They're not getting shot back up. They're doing things like that are putting them in a position where they're just giving Princeton the ball back. And when Princeton gets the ball, they're really good. And you cannot put your defense in position or put Paquette in a position where he has to see 10 shots of possession.
Beautiful little give and go from McAsee to Dunphy. Paquette with the save. Princeton now settling in after winning another face-off. Rodriguez came in and gave Yale a temporary spark, including scoring a goal. But so far here in the second quarter, he has been neutralized. Krevsky, the short stick midfield, playing by Krevsky. Oh my God, that was a beautiful little backdoor cut by Dunphy. Excuse me, that was Braden Saris, I believe, with the goal. Dunphy, Saris, and Cameron running off after the 9th tally for Princeton.
This is just the chemistry here, Mark. I don't know what else to say about this. Colin Burns is throwing to a streaking Braden Saris, who's a senior, excuse me. Burns is a sophomore. The trust that these guys have between each other to throw that pass, it's just at such a high level. And again, that doesn't just happen. You have to develop that over years and years, and you're seeing that come to life in real time for the Princeton Tigers today.
And you can see that maple leaf on the back of Saris' helmet, the senior out of Burlington, Ontario. That's his 3rd straight game with a goal. And when you have your second midfield players starting to produce, step up at this time of the year, that just adds depth and scoring punch. And that is what you need as you head into the month of May. Colin Burns with that latest assist gives him a goal and 3 assists on the game. And Princeton again winning the face-off. They have been dominant so far here in the first half.
They've been dominant everywhere, all over the field. It's important that, again, Yale, at this point in time, they're going to have to get a stop. Paquette's going to have to get a save. They're going to have to do something here.
And right now, Princeton just kind of pushing Yale around. That was Carson Kramer with the meathead dodge. Got to the cage, whistles it wide. Bo Hokason, 41 in white in the game. This is Jake Vanna, another freshman. Hokason, Vanna, both freshmen out there with Kramer, who's a sophomore. So a young line getting some quality minutes here in this second quarter for Princeton. McAsee sidesteps to short stick, cruises down the alley, shoots, goes wide, backed up by the Tigers.
When you can score 9 goals when you're just a couple minutes into the second quarter, it affords you the opportunity to play some of these younger guys, which is huge for Princeton, not just now, but again for the future of this program, getting those real-time minutes.
Stuzen with the beautiful takeaway check, steals Kabiri's lunch money. Yale gets a stop they desperately needed. Gauche, 21 in blue, weaves his way through the ride of this Princeton attack. And man, if you had time of possession on this game, it's a big advantage for Princeton. Kaib over to Cool. Brad Sharp, 13 in blue, is the 3rd member of this first midfield unit for Yale. Leo Johnson work against Bath. Excuse me, that's Hunter Spees. Shot doesn't go in, reset on the shot clock. Carson Cool has a shorty matchup. Jackson Green, number 4 in white, staring him down. Cool getting the business from Green, turns, shoots. Craddock ends up within his stick. I'd have to see a replay. I don't know if he saved that clean or if it hit the side of the cage, but either way, Princeton, here we come. Right down the heart of this Yale defense. Princeton pulls it out, and the Tigers will reset their offense.
Here's that look in the bottom corner. Let's see if Craddock actually saved that ball. Looks like it almost just gets stuck on either his face mask or his shoulder there. But either way, I think in both those opportunities, Cool and Johnson, they're just settling for those up the hash shots. I want to see them get to the island, bear down a little bit, try to earn a better shot than just feeling like you're forced up the hash and rushed a little bit.
Yeah, good placement, but nice save by Craddock, who has really done a great job. Comes into this game saving 59%, had 22 saves against Penn State at 24 against your Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Palumbo, good defense. Nice lift by Hunter Bowen. Long stick midi, number 9 in blue for this Yale defense. Wade, shot. Looked like it hit a pipe, so a shot clock reset.
It just feels like Princeton's getting whatever they want, and these guys are just having fun with it, just shooting shots.
They're playing very loose,
yes,
very free.
Yes, they're not concerned at all. Obviously, the score.
The first half, a big reason for that, number 0, Colin Burns, and his feed to Braden Saris was a thing of beauty.
It was a thing of beauty indeed, and it starts with Burns in the back, just breaking his short stick matchup down, and if you look off ball, Braden Saris kind of setting up in that high mid-wing area. The Canadian, he does such a good job of getting behind the defense here, and as you watch Burns, he's going to be able to get his feet moving upfield. Doesn't worry about the contact, kind of fades out to the side, but then Saris, again, the Canadian with such good hands, is able to catch that ball, and that's that chemistry, that's that trust that we keep seeing and we keep talking about with this Princeton offense.
And it looks like you could almost see that nonverbal communication. Burns, you could tell the way his head was positioned, kind of looking at Saris. Saris read his eyes, and they just kind of followed on a string. That flip-flop of top side versus getting underneath. Beautiful work by Burns and Saris. Matt Madelon called timeout to save possession. Under 40 seconds to shoot. Dive score! Princeton. No goal. Crease violation. May have been goal mouth as well. Either way, it doesn't go on the board, and Yale gets it back.
Man, I know that didn't go in, but what an athletic play out of Burns. Just diving across the crease there.
Matt Madelon had the challenge flag in his hand. Someone was taking a look, and then he gives it back to his assistants, saying, I don't need this.
No, coach, stop.
He was in, yeah. Yeah, replay is in effect here today at Princeton. Leo Johnson gets topside, Craddock fights it off. Johnson trying to pick up that loose ball. He does. Gets topside. Cole Jackson over to Moynihan. To Cole Cashin, 14 in blue. Sky whammy by Anderson. Gets inside of the defense of Liam Fairback. Shot. Easy save for Craddock. Leo Johnson with the offering.
You know what it feels like? Well, first off, let's take a look here. Burns taking that step with his right foot. He's definitely in, so good no challenge out of Coach Madelon. But you think about Leo Johnson. I'm just watching him shoot the ball today. It just feels like he's kind of happy to just get the shots off at times, and he's not super confident about it actually going in. I would love to see him, again, get to good spots in the field where he feels his most confident and just start to believe in a little bit. The score is 9-2. You got nothing to lose. Back's against the wall.
Yeah, you're in the Ivy League tournament, which is the good news. You can play your way to a higher seed with a little bit of a turnaround. Errant pass goes out of bounds. Possession over to Princeton. I'm going to give a little shout out to the guys in stripes out there. Great mechanics on that play. When an attackman is coming toward the crease, the goal official, the official down on the pipe, he's looking at feet. And that was beautiful by number 87 in the black and white out there. Saw the feet hit the crease line, no goal. Good mechanics by the officials.
Talk about feet, Mark. Do you remember that comment years ago? I was a freshman at Rutgers University, and this is when we weren't that good, and you were talking about my black cleats.
Here comes Princeton right down and saved by Paquette. Please, go on.
And I just remember being a young guy after the game. I can't believe this guy talked about my black cleats and how slow I was out there. Like, now everyone's going to think I'm a slow guy. But you know what it did? I feel like people are unsuspecting. They were unsuspecting the black cleats.
Yeah.
And that was my freshman year. We weren't great that year. And then Rutgers started to build after that. But, I'll never forget. I can never go on national television again with black cleats on after that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give you a complex. I wasn't chirping you. It was just an observation. But if I recall, I called a lot more of your games, and I think I had a lot more favorable things to say about you than not.
No, you did indeed, and I appreciate that. And honestly, being on the other side of it, you really have such a great responsibility for the game and these guys to highlight them, and I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
Today, the Princeton offense. They've done such a good job. And guys like Coulter Mackes, he's going to be a PLL guy, you know, one day. And I was in his shoes not too long ago. It's exciting to be on the other side of it.
For sure. It's fun, right? This is supposed to be fun for the student athletes, for us. And it's a great opportunity to work with you. Good to be in the booth after watching you light it up in the NCAAs and now the PLL. The chaos. A little bit of an off-season of change for the chaos, right?
A little bit of change indeed, and most recently, well, first off, new coaching staff. Coach Andy Towers, he was my coach, recruited me over to the chaos. They departed, brought in new coaching staff, Coach Colsey, Coach Kyle Sweeney, Coach McCready's. So we're really excited about that. And then most recently, Josh Byrne has elected to not play this season. So there's some holes with the chaos unit, but we're excited about what's happening. And you know, every season is so different in the PLL. I think this is really going to be one of the most competitive years to date, probably the most competitive since 2019.
Speaking of the PLL, let's take a look at Clark's big board. A lot of talent coming out of this year's draft class, including number 91 in white, Coulter Mackes.
And Coulter Mackes at number 4, I believe he slots in with the Boston Cannons. They're looking to kind of shore up that left side. They've got a couple options, but definitely Coulter Mackes is the best lefty coming out of this draft. CJ Kurtz, no-brainer, number 1. But I think outside of those 2 picks, it's mix and match. Depending on what team you talk to, Andrew McIndory could go number 2, Chris Kavanaugh could go number 2, Sam King could go number 2. It really starts to rely, you start to rely on the style of the offense that team is playing or the defense and where those guys fit in.
Mackes so far scoreless, but no worries. When you have balance, chemistry, and firepower like this Princeton Tiger offense, it's okay. He's had 7 shots. He's getting his looks. When you think about your team, the chaos, what are some of the needs? And what are some of the guys on that board who you think may fit into the scheme of the new coaching staff?
Yeah, I think something that people overlook is that you need depth in the PLL because there are a ton of injuries that happen. Just things happen over the course of summer. Training camp's really tough. So as long as you have, you have your starters. You want to shore up guys behind that, though. Even if they're not playing on game day, you have to rely on guys to come out of the 25 and really get in there. So I think for us, shoring up a couple of guys offensively where, we lost Josh Byrne, you got to shore that up. We lost some guys last year as well to injury, and Sergio Perkbic, for example. Well, now you need a guy to shore him up as a backup just in case. So you need guys like that over the course of time to really fill in your roster.
Can't wait for the PLL, but in the meantime, we have got business on hand. That was a Yale timeout to reorganize their their defense. 20 seconds now for Princeton to shoot. Here is Mackes. Surely will have his name called early. And how about this one? Bonanno. He now has the hat trick as he delivers a dart to the upper 90.
Bonanno with the hat trick. And each one, he's done it on his own. This time, he's above the cage. And the other shots were a little deceptive, a little slick. This time, he just sets his feet and really puts his whole body behind this shot and sticks that top right corner. I said it earlier, but this is a big-time player. And you look at his teammates right there, hyping him up, the freshman. Nothing better than to seeing, your teammates really excited for you, especially when you're a freshman.
Bonanno takes the pass from Coulter Mackes and stings the twine. Princeton is just rolling here. Face-off violation against the Tigers. Rodriguez tried for the quick whistle. Lost possession of the ball, but now he gets it back, and Krevsky will get over the midfield line. McMeekin will not be able to take the next face-off, so we could see Kobe Ginder for the Princeton Tigers. He is the backup face-off man. Rule change this year. You violate, you cannot take the next face-off for your team. Yale trying to get back in this thing. Lyons shot doesn't even make it to the cage, and it's kind of what you've been talking about, Jules. Just a little hasty on offense and a little maybe too much me instead of we.
And Coach talked about it on the call this week, Coach Andy Shea, and just saying that there's just been a lot of inconsistency, and whether it's Johnson, whether it's the defense, it's been all over the field, and he can't quite put his thumb on what it is, but that's just been the story of the Yale team this year, which has been different than the Yale teams we've seen in the past.
Andy Shea telling us there's no quit in this team. He loves these guys. They work all day. And he says every team is a puzzle, and this one, it's just been harder to figure out where the pieces fit versus years previous. Christian Johnson in on short stick D midfield for Yale. Face inside. Look at the whirling dervish. Colin Burns. Paquette read it. Is able to save it. And there's Johnson legging it over the midfield line. Giving it over to Krevsky. We'll see if Yale can get to work and settle down a little bit, be a little bit more patient on offense and work for a high-quality shot. Cole Cashin, he's had a good freshman year out of Rumson, New Jersey, 12 goals on the season. Carson Kuhl operating up top. Finn Fox, 18 in white, applying the defensive pressure. A little bit of weave up top. Nice feed on the doorstep shot. Looks like it rung off the pipe or the feet of Craddock. Jackson Green, little punt return action. Gets it over the midfield line.
And even if Yale is getting opportunities on the cage, you just see Craddock there. And then that's the worst. As an offensive player, you're playing at Rutgers University, now playing in the PLL. When you're struggling offensively to get things going and you're playing an elite goalie and you finally get a good shot on cage and it doesn't go, that's just one of the most deflating feelings.
That was good offense. That was a great look. Good find. Craddock with a dozen saves. Paquette with 12 as well. These guys have seen a lot of rubber so far here in this one. Jake Vanna working up top. Cameron slings it just wide, backed up by the Tigers. Just over a minute to go here in the first half. Princeton, if you're just joining us, has been dominant in this one. Tucker Wade with 2 goals, Peter Bonanno with a hat trick, and Colin Burns. And there's Coulter Mackesy on senior day. Stop, pop, goal. 91 in white is on the score sheet.
And Mark, you know what I appreciate so much about Coulter Mackesy? He really just lets the game come to him. He's not pressing, he's not concerned. You see him there getting up the hash, finally hitting that first shot. But he allows the game to come to him, and he makes his impact in so many small ways that aren't the stat sheet. Just drawing attention, getting the ball hot after you've drawn attention to get it to the backside, letting other guys eat. That's a real representation of a leader, and that's exactly why the Princeton offense is the way that they are.
There you see the Coulter Mackesy fan club, his family with faces of him on t-shirts. You gotta love it. 6-0 run right now for Princeton. Krevsky winds up, fires, goes over top the cage. Yale now, under a minute to go, 45 seconds left. Can they get one to just have a little bit of momentum going into the halftime locker room? Offensive coordinator Colin Nestdale holding up his hands, barking out instructions. Brad Sharp cruises to the cage, down the alley, behind the cage to Lyons, and just an errant pass. And that's just kind of the way things have gone here in the first half for Yale.
Felt like they were going to really get the ball to the backside, maybe get a nice redodge. The ball just slings out of bounds, whether that's, rushed, whether it's the wet pocket. That's just been what Yale's been doing today and this whole season.
Feed on the crease, Paquette with the save. Burns denied on the doorstep. And we've got a hold call against Princeton. So the clock stops with just over a second left. Johnson flings it toward the cage, knocked down, caught actually by Hunter Spiess.
Absolutely no chance of getting in at large. They're going into the conference tournament, and they're potentially playing Cornell in the first round, which probably is not going to go over well for them. And then Princeton, they win this game. They probably get in at maybe number 2. They skate past Cornell, and then look to probably play them in the championship.
Cornell in a dogfight as we speak with Dartmouth right now. But that big red team led by C.J. Kirst, Ryan Goldstein on attack, Michael Long, so prolific offensively, and they were in the national championship game back in 2022. And Princeton was in that national semifinals, losing to the eventual national champion that year in the University of Maryland. First possession for Yale, another stick work hiccup results in a turnover.
Just a simple play that should be there is Brad Sharp dodging, getting to that low wing area and just easy transfer pass. And if you're a young player out there watching right now, don't take it for granted, the easy passes that you have to make in the game. The best players do the simple things really well over and over again.
Battle for the ball on the end line, eventually corralled by Jack Stuzen. Again, this is a Yale defense that has been racked by injuries. Mike Alexander, Sam Rieken, Jake Cohen, all slated to be starters, if not significant contributors to Yale in 2025, have been on the shelf, forcing players like Stuzen, a long stick midfielder, and Konrad Mikolashevsky to go down and play close. Flag flies, so this will be free possession for Yale. And what, Cole Cashin works his way in, and they call the crease violation. That was almost in slow motion, a little knuckleball delivery. Cashin, no goal, but Yale will enjoy a power play. It's a slash call against Princeton. Yale will be man up for up to 60 seconds.
Cole Cashin going hard to the rack there and just absorbing check after check. And he really doesn't give up on the play here either, Mark, and tries to get across the top of the crease there. Cole Cashin's a guy I've worked with. He's a New Jersey product out of Rumson. I think he is more dynamic than he's showing us. And I think that for this offense here, not just for now, but for the future, he's a guy they're going to have to rely on and step up to take on a bigger role.
Can Yale cash in on the man-up opportunity? Krevsky, such an impressive player, the solo captain for Yale, playing defense, offensive midfield. Now he has a spot on the extra man unit, a renaissance man. Nice feed inside, shot just goes wide. Off the mark, possession stays with the Bulldogs.
Talk about a renaissance man for the Yale Bulldogs, Brian Tevlin. Another one, graduated a couple years ago, went on to play at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Became a captain there, national champion there. Shout out to Brian Tevlin. He's one, picks up a long pole, plays on the wings, plays offense, plays deep. He does it all. Playing in the PLL now on the Redwoods.
Incredible player, incredible leader. What a great story. The donation of his bone marrow to a family member. Missed time out of his college career because of that behind the back. Ball goes wide. And that'll be a shot clock violation. So good man down defense by the Princeton Tigers to keep this Yale offense at bay.
Fun fact, Brian Tevlin was a freshman when I was a senior at Seton Hall Prep. So he's a little freshman running around the locker room. Coach is telling you, we got this guy. I'm like, who is this guy?
You're like, who is this kid?
Yeah, and
get out of here.
Come to find out, I'm watching him play for national champion after national championship years later.
Well, we're going to have a couple Seton Hall Prep graduates coming up later on our slate of ESPN games. You've got Notre Dame, Sean Light, one of the top defenders in the country. They'll take on UPenn at 2 o'clock. And then 5 o'clock, Syracuse and North Carolina. Matt Reedy, Seton Hall Prep grad, getting things done for the Tar Heels. That'll be a terrific one in the Dome.
Yeah, the Tar Heels, they've taken a big step forward this year. I think a lot of what that is just the culture of the program. You know, I did a game for them early in the year, talked to Reedy a little bit, talked to some of those guys, and they just feel like the team's smaller, and there's just a sense of togetherness more that's allowing them to play with a little bit more confidence, a little more chemistry.
Yeah, Carolina coming off a tough loss to Notre Dame. Syracuse licking their wounds after dropping one on the road at Duke. You want to talk about playoff seeding, playoff positioning for that ACC tournament next weekend in Charlotte. Big one between the Orange and the Tar Heels later today. Yale with a defensive stop. Carson Cool looking for some early offense. Gets it over to Johnson, sets the pick. Johnson rolls back, feed. Moynihan operating up top, gets to space, hands free, shot, product, just eats it up.
Moynihan, typically an attackman coming out of high school, the product of Taft. He's probably not used to shooting on the run for so much range. You saw he kept trying to take a couple more steps there. If he develops that, he did a great job getting his hands free against the pole. That's not easy to do. He can develop that on-the-run shot a little bit more, give a little more edge to this Yale offense, specifically at the midfield.
Hold call on Princeton, turns it over to Yale. Referee Tom Holan making a good call. Moynihan again, shot. Leo Johnson airmails it over top the cage. Backed up by the Bulldogs. Does Yale have a run in them? Just to make this thing more competitive, make Princeton sweat a little bit. David Anderson gets turned around in the middle of that Princeton defense, and another turnover by the Bulldogs. Possession to the Tigers.
You see they're attacking their poles right now a lot in space without picks. I would love to see, for example, on that Brad Sharp dodge on the wing, send Johnny Keeb to him, number 7, to set a pick so that he could free his hands a little bit more, have a little bit more that the defense is distracted by. Otherwise, this Princeton defense one-on-one is very, very talented. It's going to be difficult to beat those guys if you're trying to attack poles all the time.
Dunphy with the move to cage over to Cameron. You mentioned Duke. You saw them against North Carolina. They've got a gigantic game later today as well against the Virginia Cavaliers, a team that is really, literally fighting for their lacrosse lives. Win, and they're in the ACC tournament. Season continues. A loss, they are done. How do you size up that matchup?
Well, we were talking about it at halftime, Mark. This is probably the most parity I know for myself that I've ever seen watching and paying attention to college lacrosse, which is, going on, I would say, 18 years now. And for a team like Virginia, back against the wall, I wouldn't be surprised if they win. It's in the ACC. You've seen teams drop to each other over the course of the season.
Mackesy with the hammer. Feed from Kabiri. First goal of the second half belongs to the Tigers. And on senior day, it's fitting. Number 91 with the rocket.
Coulter Mackesy, number 91 in white, just doing what he does well. This is classic Mackesy, just setting up on that wing area, showing his overhand release eye to eye. What I love most about it is just so snappy. He's not shooting it 110 miles an hour. He's just getting the ball in and out of his stick quickly, and there's that zip, that pop, that makes it really hard for the goaltender to see the ball. Quick release, not a hard ball.
3 goals away. Coulter Mackesy from the all-time goal scoring record here at Princeton. Jesse Hubbard owns that record. All-American, Team USA, professional lacrosse player. Hubbard has done it all. Mackesy right on the doorstep of history. Only 3 goals to eclipse that mark. Shot wide and out of bounds by Krevsky. And mentioning that Virginia-Duke game again, I'm with you. This is going to be at Klockner Stadium. Should be a great crowd on hand. That's one of the best environments in college lacrosse. How they do between the lines, I think, is going to be really critical to that game. At face-offs, they got one of the best short stick D-middies in the country, and Noah Chismar had him a guest on the D-Fly Dixie podcast, my podcast on Inside Lacrosse this week. And Ben Ware, he's an X factor in the middle of the field for Virginia.
And where they've struggled most, that Virginia team, is probably just midfield production. You look at a guy like Griffin Schutz, I think people expected him to do a little bit more this year, probably handle the pole. And then they've had a couple of injuries, too, over the course of the season that I think have been tough for them. So we'll see how they show offensively. Can they draw slides? Can they really get that Duke defense, who's very, very strong moving?
And it's a Duke team riding high after beating Syracuse last week. Eric Mulliver, a terrific game. Ben Johnston is a handful out of the midfield. Andrew McAdory, saw him on Clark's big board. But that defense for Duke has really made some tremendous strides over coordinator Kevin Unterstein.
Aiden McGuire, the short stick defensive midfielder, the junior, probably the best in the country. Charlie Johnson at defense there. I've gotten a chance to watch him live a couple times now. For my money, he's a top 2 cover guy in the country. Reminds me a lot of Matt Dunn out of Maryland, the current Whipsnake Team USA defender. Just so strong, plays great angles, the strong righty.
When I think of Matt Dunn, I think of smart. Smart, crafty, doesn't beat himself. His mind is his greatest weapon. Now heading up that first-class lacrosse outfit with Duke graduate Deemer class, teaching the next generation the game.
Shout out First Class Lacrosse, doing a fantastic job spreading the knowledge of the game. They get information out there so quick, so knowledgeable. I've learned a lot myself from FCL defense, hearing Matt Dunn talk about the defensive side of the ball. And if you're a young player, again, it's great to learn what the defense is doing, hear what they're saying, because that's going to allow you to gain advantages offensively to be able to counter what they want to see.
Yeah, it's funny. You got some guys who are like defensive players, but now like offensive minds, and they're like, well, yeah, I'm basically teaching everything that I learned playing against defenses as a defender, playing against offenses.
Yeah, Ron Caputo down in Duke.
Yep.
We saw him be an offensive coordinator there for so long, and now he's with Unterstein kind of leading that defensive side of the ball.
Big one from Klockner, 2 o'clock, Duke and Virginia. And the uncanny stat there, I think it's 18 or 19 regular season meetings in a row that Duke has beaten Virginia.
Wow.
What a time to break the streak, keep the season alive if you're a Wahoo fan. .30 seconds on the shot clock. Leo Johnson, he has been handled so far here today. Soft shot, gobbled up by Croddick. Princeton on the clear. So let's spin ahead to next weekend's Ivy League tournament. Cornell, #1 seed, CJ Kirst. But let's talk about Harvard. You know, what have we seen from the Crimson? You know, obviously struggling at the face-off, but you know, they play fast, they play aggressive, and Sam King probably going to be getting an invitation to DC for that tour time ceremony in June.
Absolutely. He's the heart and soul of that Harvard unit. He does a lot of things very well. He rides very well. He feeds the ball. He's physical. He makes contact with his defenders. But, you know, you look all over the field. Guys like Owen Gaffney, Miles Botkiss at the midfield. They got a lot of guys contributing for them on the offensive side of the ball. And kind of similar to Princeton, playing loose, playing confident. They got guys that have been doing it for a long time and developing. They're not a team that's getting the transfers in, so they really need to work on development. And Jerry Burns, a guy that really focuses on that, the head coach of Harvard University.
You got to give a ton of credit to their offensive coordinator, Neil Hutchinson, doing such a wonderful job for that Harvard Crimson offense, because the defense has been spotty this year, so they've had to put up big numbers on the offensive end of the field. Swim move again off the pipe. Chad Palumbo, he loves that swim move. Saw him score at the other end of the field earlier in this game. And Palumbo, a great story, not only a terrific lacrosse player, but a cancer survivor as well. Good to see him healthy and competing here for the Princeton Tigers.
Palumbo just unfazed by the defensive pressure, just seemingly holding a long pole on his hip while he's swimming another guy, and then has the awareness to get that shot off. It's just so impressive.
You ever incorporated the swim move in your repertoire?
Yeah, I think the swim move is one of those, when I was growing up, coaches used to tell you, don't swim. I don't want you shooting anything but bounce shots and no swim dodges. Now, I think it's a fantastic move to counter, especially on short stick defensive players, or when a defender lunges, overplays you one side after you made your initial move. He's gonna jump. Well, that's a quick swim to just kind of get past him, deep past him a little bit. It comes naturally, the motion of the swim dodge and those opportunities.
Instinct takes over in lacrosse players, but that's something you can also practice in situations. And we've seen Palumbo, as Princeton's able to make changes on the fly. So a fresh midfield unit checking into the contest for the Tigers. John Dunphy getting the offense going. I mean, watching this Princeton team, they are going to be a handful, not only in next weekend's Ivy League tournament, but they're going to be one tough out in the NCAAs. Inside move, shot, Paquette. Just got a piece of it with his shoulder.
But you watch John Dunphy, who he really wasn't supposed to be playing too much today. He got moved to the second line. But you see that quick split, that 1-2 gets across his body, but then he's getting to that low angle. Instead of just shooting it, forcing the shot, he's dropping his head to create deception on the goaltender. That just speaks to what Coach Jim Mitchell, the offensive coordinator at Princeton here, is really teaching and reinforcing these guys offensively. Deception, changes speed, dynamic dodging. That's what makes this unit so dangerous.
Princeton has really controlled this game. And there's another goal. Braden Saris with his second of the contest. And Princeton just continues to roll.
It's Nate Kabiri operating, Colin Burns from behind the goal, finding Braden Sayers again. And it is all when they put Harvard in over Notre Dame. And now we're looking at Harvard in at large. They don't have to win the Ivy League tournament. They're in at large at number 6. And then you look at the ACC tournament, if Notre Dame doesn't win and they drop first round, are they now potentially a bubble team?
Yeah, Notre Dame with a must-win almost last week against North Carolina got the job done. But let's take a look at the resume for the Crimson. 9-3, 3-2 in the Ivy. You mentioned that RPI and those wins. You know, that win at Syracuse back months ago, that's pretty impressive.
And then the win at Dartmouth, they're counting that number 18, but Dartmouth is not even in the tournament for Ivy League tournament, excuse me. So, you know, you start to wonder what's a big win, especially we're going to see what happens in the ACC tournament here with Syracuse. If some teams drop early, a lot of this can change very quickly.
And of course, Harvard with a 4-2 record against the RPI top 20. That'll do it to you, giving you that strong metric that goes so far in determining who is in and who is not in the NCAA tournament. Shot goes wide, backed up by Yale. Feet inside, Moynihan slithers his way underneath. The Princeton defense sticks it top shelf and ends the scoring drought for the Eli.
And this is second time we've seen this out of Chris Lyons down here, just kind of having that pick set in that low wing area. Fantastic job by Moynihan, just having the poise here, feeling out that pressure, tiptoeing the crease, getting across the top. I would love to see them continuously go back to those picks in that low corner, whether you do it on the right side or the left side, just giving themselves an opportunity to not be one-on-one with the Princeton poles in space.
Lyons with the assist, Moynihan, the beautiful effort around the cage. Just under 2 minutes left to go here in the third quarter. McMeekin on his horse, being trailed. Nice trail check by Lyons. 44 in blue. Hunts down the face-off man for Princeton. Bench is hyped for Yale. Can they start to string together some scores?
Tremendous hustle out of Lyons there. First delivers us the assist to Moynihan, then gets back on his horse next play to go get that back check on McMeekin.
That was Yale's first goal in over 30 minutes. The NBA playoffs continue on ABC as the Rockets and Warriors face off in Game 3 of their Western Conference first round series tonight at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. The series is currently tied at 1 apiece. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern.
We would be remiss if we didn't talk about Pat Spencer on the Warriors. I know it's been brought up a lot. It's on social media, this, that, and the third. But I got to say, I played him in college when he was at Loyola. He's a real 6'3", 220, maybe slimmed out a little bit. But the fact that this guy is playing professional basketball, sharing the court with the likes of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler gets hurt. He goes into the game in a playoff game, scores 9 points. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrific, the story. And then his brother Cam in the NBA as well, playing with the Grizzlies after a national championship at UConn. How'd you do against Spencer in college, by the way?
We scrimmaged them. We actually won, and I think he had 2 and 2.
Okay.
I'm a senior at that point. They're hyping up the Tewaaraton stuff. So I'm like, is this guy gonna go off? I think my guy Bullet or Rexroad ended up locking him up a little bit. But then you just go on to see what he's done athletically. And he's just at a completely different level, than some of the players we've ever seen play the game of lacrosse.
Really impressive. We wish Pat Spencer the best. Pass knocked down, and that will end the third quarter. And it still is Princeton. The Tigers, they've struck early and often. NCAA tournament. McMeekin right down the middle of the field, steps in the crease. Play on situation. Krevsky picks up the ball. Krevsky cruising to the cage, down the alley, doesn't shoot, gives it to Leo Johnson. Johnson will pull it out. Yale will set their personnel and try to chip away at this 10-goal bulge Princeton has put up. Kaib up to Moynihan. Moynihan found success with that last goal. Gets to the middle of the field, shoots just over the crossbar.
We got to give a lot of credit, Mark, to Hunter Spies, number 15 in white, on the job he's done with Leo Johnson. I know Leo, he hasn't had the most incredible season, but he's dynamic, he's shifty. All the opportunities he's gotten have been just a little bit rushed, a little bit contested, and that's credit to Spies today.
Spies, a 6'2" sophomore out of Old Greenwich, Connecticut. Coach Matt Madelon told us this week he would get more minutes today. Felt like it was a good matchup, and he's playing very, very well. Inside, and there's the handcuff. What a trail check.
There's Spies right there, right on cue. Johnson got a little bit of a step, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't give up, comes over that trail check. That's hard to do in that moment in time, just having the ability to strike at the right time and come down hard on Johnson.
And as an attackman, when you get that step and you know the guy's behind you, you know he's got that 70 inches of titanium, how do you try to prevent that trail check from happening?
The most important thing is you got to really protect with your back, your shoulders, keep it in front of you until the very last minute. And honestly, what a lot of guys do is they don't even ever bring it back. They finish the ball with their stick in front of their face.
Great defense by Spies, and really great defense all day by this Princeton long pole unit. They're shorties. Goalie Ryan Croddick has made 16 saves. Ball on that far side being battled for, and Princeton comes up with it. Now if you're Yale, probably definitely looking at that 4-seed. Little toe drag, Bonanno! Are you kidding me? The freshman putting on a show, bounces it, nestles under the crossbar. 12 in white is having a day.
Good Lord. Starts with Spies, just strong with that trail check. And then it's Bonanno. Oh my God. That little hitch right there, he's so slippery. It's almost like he's dancing out there with the ball on his stick, just playing at a different speed, his own pace. And then to be able to extend his hands the last second around there, that's fantastic.
Fourth goal today, that one was unassisted. Give him 8 points in the last 2 games. He was 3 goals and an assist last weekend in Philadelphia against the Quakers of Penn. Today he's got a 4 spot, and that might have been the prettiest of them all.
Yeah, it sure was, man. And he's doing it as a freshman.
Nothing really gone right today for Yale. But there's a good goal. Cole Cashin takes a lick after he sends it into the Princeton cage. Quick answer for the Bulldogs.
Mark, and this is what I'm talking about with Cole Cashin. That move was elite. That 1-2 split, he gets in front of the cage, he takes that extra step to greatness, finishes that ball. Nick, give him the rock, feed the beast, get Cole Cashin the ball in space and hype him up if you're the Yale Bulldogs.
His 4th goal in the last 3 games, including that individual effort, unassisted from Cashin. Fellow Jersey native, doing Jules Hennenberg proud. McMeekin wins another face-off. So I think what we're looking at, potentially, Yale Cornell, Princeton Harvard in those semifinals from Schulkoff Field next weekend. Shaping up to be a really good Ivy League tournament.
And as we saw with what the committee just came out with, regardless of what happens for Harvard, honestly, they're playing Princeton. It's only going to improve their resume. Even if they lose, And if they win, I think that's an automatic entry for the Harvard Crimson.
Got to look out for bid stealers if you're Harvard. This Yale team, if they can figure things out and win the Ivy League tournament, that's a bid stealer. You got Michigan in the Big Ten. They're playing your alma mater, Rutgers, right now as we speak in the quarterfinals of that conference tournament.
Man, if Rutgers figures out a way to win the Big Ten tournament,
that's
ruin,
a bid stealer.
That would ruin everything for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I don't mean to shortchange the Scarlet Knights, but the last 2 years, Michigan's gone on as a 4, and they've run the table. Well, guess what? They're the 4 seed again, and playing at home today. But Cardin Stoller and the Scarlet Knights, they're going to be a tough out. Let's take a look at the automatic qualifiers that we have for the NCAA men's tournament. There are 10 of them. The America East, Atlantic 10. How about that Richmond team rolling heavy there? Big East, Georgetown clinched that #1 seed. What are some of the other races that have your attention?
Patriot League, Army #1, BU #2. I think it's fascinating what happens in the Patriot League. These teams, historically, in my experience with Army, having played them, they would always be so strong in the beginning of the year. You'd feel like if you beat them, great win. If you lost to them, you're like, it's a tough Army team. Then they get into the Patriot League, and then all bets are off in that tournament. And you see BU's playing very, very well right now. I think it's wide open in the Patriot League as well. I wouldn't count Army as an automatic team to win it all.
9-team league, so those teams beat each other up with 8 in-conference games. Lafayette beat Lehigh last night, so they are the 3 seed there. But when you talk about Army, I mean, you're talking about Jackson Eicher. You got the Plunkett brothers, Hill and Evan, terrific players. Braden Fountain is an outstanding freshman. But again, if they falter in the Patriot League tournament, they're probably on the outside looking in. I mean, that's in all likelihood a 1-bid conference. The CAA, you got Towson playing really well as of late. They secured the #1 seed for that tournament. Mikey Wiseauer, an All-American midi, leading the way for the Tigers. Referees conferring. And again, the ACC. Yeah, you mentioned Notre Dame. They've got one coming up against Penn at home from Arlada. Penn, of course, eliminated from postseason contention. That will be their final game of the season. Taking a look at a possible reset of the shot clock. Good communication between the officials and the bench personnel. Take this moment to shout out thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew behind the scenes, allowing us to do what we love. Having some fun here. Stuzen. The legal procedure playing without the stick. So possession going back over to Yale. Stuzen, this Yale defense has had a tough day today, but Stuzen's done a nice job with a couple takeaway checks, causing some turnovers.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Stuzen. Just his aggression. He knows that, you know, this Yale defense isn't what it needs to be, but he's showing that fight all day long. You see it in just his body language and the way that he's playing, doing his very best to keep Yale in it.
Krevsky up top. Gets his hands free after the swim move. Said Chad Palumbo, I can do the freestyle as well. Comes back to his strong hand and sizzles it past Croddick. Yale continuing to fight.
And Krevsky he's a big dude. 6'2", 200 pounds. Just getting his strong hand here in space. I mean, that's a legit move right there out of Krevsky. Might be a little bit too late for Yale, but you love to see that out of the solo captain.
Such a special honor. All sports teams at Yale, only one captain. Krevsky gets that honor. Making a play. And if you're a team like Yale, today's a rough day. You've had a rough season. A lot of injuries. Yale team expected to be toward the top of the heap of the Ivy League. Now they're the 4. But knowing that you have that opportunity to compete in the tournament and you can play your way into the NCAAs, what's the mindset?
I think the mindset, it has to be, how can we just get a little bit better from today? Finish the game the right way and just learn from it. You know, you have nothing to lose. Oh my gosh.
What a shot. That is Portal Malkiel coming on to the game and scoring. The freshman joins the party and Freebird blares over the speakers.
Boy, oh boy, does he join the party. That nasty, violent change of direction. Just absorbing hits. And then the question mark, man, the athleticism to do that, to get upfield, and it's not like he's stepping away to the sideline. He's going straight upfield, more like an exclamation mark instead of the question mark, and just spinning around and hitting the far corner, man. That is so difficult to do.
And I love the fact that Jim Mitchell, offensive coordinator here at Princeton, is giving other guys an opportunity to play. We can see number 1 in white, Mike Marino, a backup attackman out there. You can see Markeel making an impact on the game. I mean, this is Coulter Mackesy is 3 goals away from the all-time scoring record, and they're looking at the bigger picture. They're looking at Ivy League tournament next week. Princeton, it's been all Tigers, us. And here are some particular scores of interest.
Dartmouth, Cornell, not that it mattered because Dartmouth is not playing in the postseason, but if they upset Cornell there, that might shake up the RPI a little bit. Hopkins, Penn State's really interesting. Penn State, they're looking like a team that could make a real run in the postseason. Hopkins looking to kind of ruin the party there a little bit, potentially be a bid stealer if they won the Big Ten tournament.
Big time. As it is, though, Hopkins on a 5-game losing streak, winless in the Big Ten. If they lose this game, they'll be 0 for. Kabiri with a little bit of a knuckleball, skips off the turf, finds its way into the back of the cage. That was a man-up goal. Scored by Nate Kabiri, number 2 in white. Princeton continues to impress.
We talk about development a lot with this Princeton team. Well, Colin Burns, he came today with only 9 assists, but he's really been wheeling and dealing. This is, I think, his 3rd assist today, finding his partner in crime, Nate Kabiri, off ball. Clean shooting stroke, gets a little bit of a knuckle, potentially to throw the goaltender off, but again, Colin Burns just showing his development. This Princeton team, this Princeton program, they care so much about their guys and just expanding their potential.
Kabiri, that was his 100th point of his career. Only a sophomore. Tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Bryce Harper and the Phillies take on Kyle Tucker and the Cubs at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Sunday Night Baseball, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern with baseball tonight, Sunday Night Countdown. Yeah, my Orioles, man. Tough start to the season for the Birds. You got yourself a baseball club?
No, I don't have a club, but I do enjoy hearing my friends who are Mets fans talk about the Yankees fans. It's so good.
Yeah. Mets are having a good year, right?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
I got a lot of Knicks fans in the chat.
Ooh, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, Brunson. I'm big on Brunson.
Yeah.
I like the Knicks. I was a New Jersey Nets fan growing up, and then they broke my heart as a young guy.
I understand.
Moving out of Continental Airlines Arena to Brooklyn.
Nice move to cage, a dive, saved by Paquette. That's Mike Marino. Never forget growing up those New Jersey Net tie-dye uniforms. They were sweet. Looks like another man-up opportunity coming for this Princeton team. And look at Marino. I mean, these are backup players just coming in with a ton of confidence, a ton of energy, and making plays.
No care in the world. And then Milachevsky just getting him there at the last second. But Marino, zero care. I'm going in here. I'm going full speed. I'm going to the rack.
Great to see some of these backup guys getting an opportunity. Work so hard all week in practice on scout. Reward them with some significant minutes, substantial playing time in a game like this. Yeah, but NBA playoffs. I was watching Warriors Rockets the other night. The Magic and the Knicks. Physical. It's like old school basketball again.
Yeah, the Pistons, which is...
Oh, Knicks and Pistons, that's it. Magic and the Celtics.
It's pretty crazy to me that after all these years, the Pistons still have that culture. That I grew up not watching the Pistons play that way, but hearing about how tough the Pistons were on Michael Jordan back in the day, just rough and tumble.
The bad boys, the Jordan rules. Anytime 23 for the Bulls touches it, he's going to get banged up. Well, the NBA playoffs continue on ABC as the Rockets and Warriors face off in Game 3 of their Western Conference first-round series tonight at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Series is currently tied 1 apiece. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern. While we were away, a goal by the Yale Bulldogs. That was Brad Sharp on the assist from Cole Cashin. High heat from Sharp.
Just showing his range there a little bit. Getting the ball in and out of the stick. So just to talk about, that's a heavy ball. You talk about Coulter McAtee earlier. I said he's got a quick, snappy release. Hard for the goalie to see. That's a heavy shot. I mean, that thing's going 100, 105. Not only is it hard for the goalie to see, but no one wants to get in front of that.
Under 6 minutes left to go here between Yale and Princeton. And with this result, Princeton will clinch the #2 seed with a win over Yale. It means Harvard playing Brown on ESPN Plus a little bit later. They will secure the #3. So we'll see this Princeton Tiger team taking on Harvard next weekend in the Ivy League semifinals, and then Yale against C.J. Kirst in the Cornell Big Red.
Tremendous defense there at a 17. Michael Bath in white.
Shot a score for Yale. They'll continue to press on. Leo Johnson getting a tally. And Yale now just trying to build some momentum for next weekend.
Finally, Johnson solves space here. Just gets up the hash and gets it to go. We've seen him take this shot, I mean, at least 5 or 6 times today, and this is the first time it really drops. And if I'm Johnson after this game, if that's the shot I want to take, I'm taking that exact same shot at least 100 times a week. Every week for the rest of his time at Yale. Figuring out, hey, if this is what I like, he's got to be more consistent about it.
Waymeyer winning the face-off. So Princeton and Harvard tangled on March 22nd. That was a 13-11 win here for Princeton. So a very tight game, competitive game. I think we can probably expect the same next weekend in Ithaca. Kaib trying to close this one out on a positive note. Being guarded by Billy Barnes, 30 in white, checking into the game. I mean, this is a Princeton short stick unit that goes 6 deep, and they're missing one of their players today. Quinn Kramer, brother of Carson Kramer, offensive midi, missing today's game. So this is a lot of depth, and that's going to really serve Princeton well entering the Ivy League tournament, then the NCAAs.
Yeah, and credit to Coach Jeremy Hirsch, the defensive coordinator for the Princeton Tigers, of developing that defensive midfield unit. It just makes it so difficult for the offense. It's hard enough to dodge elite short stick defensive midfielders when there's 1 or 2 of them. But when you got 6 guys rolling out there who got a lot of energy, and you think you're just going to attack them and they're ready for it, that makes it so hard for you offensively.
Ryan Croddick checking out of the game for Princeton between the pipes. New netminder is 23, Colin Vickery. sophomore out of Westlake, Texas. He's only played 7 minutes this season. So Craddock, really an Iron Man. Nice for him to be able to take a little bit of a curtain call, even though he's a junior here at Sherrod Field. Carson Kramer, excuse me. Nice inside move, shot, a score. Marino just worked the defense, felt the pressure, got inside, and finds the back of the cage.
I mean, Mark, these guys would be playing at other schools. Like, that's a big-time move. Marino, the swim dodge to that hesitation, getting inside, again, manipulating the goalkeeper. I mean, these guys are coming off the bench, and these are starters, in my opinion, at other schools.
Sophomore out of Mahwah, New Jersey, and there you see Vickery looking to see if he'll get some action. And I tell you what, Jared Paquette, 19 saves on the game. And this score, obviously dominant in favor of Princeton. It could be a lot worse if Paquette wasn't standing on his head in certain instances in this game.
Absolutely, and Coach Shea talked about it with us this week on the call. These guys have a lot of fight, and you see it on the scoreboard today.
Ginder taking that face off. Senior out of New York, New York. He gets pushed, and that'll be a man-up opportunity, power play for this Princeton offense.
Yeah, penalty number 1. Nick Meyer, 30 seconds for a push, 12 points.
Penn Notre Dame coming up 2 o'clock on ESPNU, and Anish Shroff, Quint Kesenick calling the action taking place at Arlada Stadium. That Notre Dame team fell behind 4-0 to North Carolina a week ago and then was able to pull a 12-6 win. Chris Kavanaugh, I watched that game in person. He is something special.
I think he's evolving in real time over the course of the season. Obviously playing with his brother Pat. They had a ton of chemistry together. He was more the quarterback. Chris was kind of playing off of him, but now it's not easy to transition after having a player, generational player at Notre Dame like Pat Kavanaugh, to then take all that on you. They graduated Eric Dobson as well at the midfield, currently playing for the Chaos Lacrosse Club in the PLL. So it takes some time, but I think Chris Kavanaugh is coming into his own at the great opportunity down the stretch of the season for him to do that.
Notre Dame, the 2-time defending national champion, saying don't give up on us just yet. We've got some funk in our bag to make some things happen. Tucker Wade makes his way to the cage again, sends it wide, backed up by Princeton. 1:45 left to go here in this game. It's been fun sharing the booth with you, Jules. Princeton and Yale putting on a show, and a little bit of an appetizer, right, for the Ivy League tournament next weekend.
Yep.
Move inside by Kramer. He got popped.
He sure did get popped. Number 5, Luke Mikhalik,
Number 5.
hitting Kramer. And I coached Kramer
Roughness.
back at Torrey Pines
31.
6 or 7 years ago now. And he's a big man.
He's not small. He is not small.
He's tough,
6'5".
Yeah, so for him to crack him like that, I mean, again, it just shows Yale's toughness, their fight that they have it in them. The last minute here, they're not giving up.
Well, this team takes, this is a pride-filled program, and it emanates from Andy Shea, head coach. National champions in 2018, national runners-up in 2019. This is a team that once you get done playing them, you know that Yale has been there And Mahalik just sending a little bit of a message. I think next week has started now for Yale. But another goal scored by the Princeton Tigers. That's Brody Upton. You want to talk about a tall drink of water. 6'7" out of Dedham, Massachusetts.
And you see how hyped Dunphy gets here after the feed to Upton, who does a terrific job coming through the ball, doesn't stop his feet. Key fundamental there if you're playing on the crease.
Brody Upton's first for the Tigers from Sean Dunphy at 14:05.
It's been Princeton all game. An impressive win against a Yale team looking to come in and upset the apple cart, get a better seeding, but it just wasn't in the cards.
Update in real time. Mark, Penn State comes out on top versus Hopkins, secures that. Cornell over Dartmouth, 10-8.
Collision at midfield. Ian Mize lowers the boom and puts the exclamation point on this Princeton W. What an effort by the Tigers here today.
And you love to see that, right? They're up big. You see Coach Madelon clapping. It's senior day. They don't care about the score.